Yeah, I'm ready.
Yukon A, your team, are you guys ready to go?
Yes.
All right.
We are.
So, all right. So I hear that everybody is ready. So we will begin with toss-up 1. In one video, the lead singer of this band is repeatedly attacked by his girlfriend, played by Anna by Yalitsina. In another video, this band spends the day crashing and singing at weddings. One song by this band has the lyric, I have Colin.
Like Maroon 5.
15 bonus. ACHERON Mbembe extended this idea into necropolitics, in which life is subjugated to the power of death, in this term that first appears in the history of sexuality. This term describes the way in which modern nations take exert control over the lives of their citizens.
I have no idea what was just said. Something
like sexuality.
Yes, please.
Transgender directed.
Biopower. This French thinker originated the idea of biopower. This philosopher used the panopticon as a metaphor in discipline and punish.
Foucault directed.
Mbembe argues that necropolitics is the extension of this practice in which European countries settled and exploited other countries, especially specifically in Africa and the Caribbean.
Colonialism directed.
20 points, toss-up 2. This character would rather sleep with a man whom they refer to as George Washington cannibalistically developed than with a drunken. I have Avery.
Ishmael.
15 bonus. In a novel by this author, the protagonist Juroges, his brother Boro, kills Jacobo for profiting from the white landowner. Howlwood for 10 points each. He was author of Weak Not Child, who wrote about Mugo's betrayal of Kihika, a rebel who killed District Officer Robeson in a grain of wheat.
No, Ngugi.
Yeah. Ngugi directed.
Ngugi's novels, Weep Not Child and A Grain of Wheat, are set during rebellion in this African home country of Ngugi. This country is the setting of ISIS. In their essay, Decolonizing the Mind, Ngugi argued that post-colonial writers should stop using this European language as it refined a colonialist path. Chinua Achebe also used this language to write Things Fall Apart.
English directed.
30, toss-up 3. A theorem applied to these shapes is remembered with the mnemonic man plus dad equals bomb plus sink and is named for Stewart. A transversal intersecting these shapes generates segments whose lengths obey Menelaus theorem. The square root of the product of these shapes, semi-perimeter, and the semi-perimeter minus the length of each side gives their area. I have Joel.
Triangles.
15 bonus. This artist depicted two men in red cloaks leaning over a wall towards a nude woman in their Susanna and the Elders for 10 points each. And this artist who potentially depicted their rapist Agostino Tassi as Holofernes in their depiction of Judith beheading him. They also depicted themselves in. This artist depicted an old maid alongside Judith in the depiction of the scene. This master of tenebrism also painted the Supper at Emmaus and the Calling of St. Matthew. This artist teacher, Giorgione, depicted Judith stepping on Holofernes' head. This Venetian artist depicted all 30, toss-up 4. In a Rhodian story, this figure was hanged by a group of handmaidens dressed as Furies on the order of Polyxo. In one story, this figure is replaced by an Adolan while they were in Egypt. This figure was left with Aethra before being saved by the Dioscuri. This figure's stepfather sacrificed a horse to seal a defense pact made by this figure's suitor. The oath of Tenedarius was triggered after this sibling of Clytemnestra eloped. After an apple inscribed to the fairest was thrown into a wedding, Aphrodite offered this person to a prince for 10 points in this. I have Avery. Yes, 10. And can you guys? Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, can you guys mute your mic when you're not speaking?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. All right. We will continue with bonus 4. Kudzu grass in North America is an example of these organisms which can be carried by ships for 10 points each. This is first used to describe non-native organisms that usually have a native effect on the environment.
Invasive directed.
A classic example of an invasive species is this small freshwater mollusk that has overgrown in the Great Lakes of the United States. They carry bodily which is believed to have killed a bunch of birds in that area.
Like zebra mussel directed.
Thomas Austin spread these small mammals to Australia. This mycosis virus was once released to control this invasive creature.
Rabbits?
Right? Yeah, rabbits.
Yeah. Rabbits directed.
30, toss-up 5. Oh, shoot. Okay. The clock, yeah, I know what it was on. Hold on. I know exactly what it was on, so we should be fine. Toss of 5. After this leader was accused by John Ludogrian of mouthing profanity at him in Parliament, this politician claimed to have said "fuddle duddle." This politician defended Bill C-150's decriminalization of homosexuality, saying there is no place for the state in the bedrooms of the nation. During an interview with Tim Ralph, this politician defended suspending civil liberties by proclaiming, "Just watch me." 3 days later, this politician invoked the War Measures Act after James Cross and Pierre. I have a Chris.
Pierre Trudeau.
For 10 bonus, this man led a namesake raid using 16 B-25 bombers launched from the USS Hornet for 10 points each. Named as lieutenant commander, led the first American attack on Japan in World War II.
First and left. First American.
Like Nimitz.
Oh, that's
Navy.
Yeah. Nimitz.
This is Jimmy Doolittle. The Doolittle raid was in retaliation for this Japanese attack on the U.S. Pacific Fleet in Hawaii, which the USS Hornet was an important player in both the Doolittle raid and this pivotal 1942 naval battle where 4 Japanese aircraft carriers were deployed.
Midway directed.
20, toss-up 6. An influential family in this empire traces its origin to the administrators of a Buddhist monastery in Balkh. The Bar Makid family served as viziers of this empire. This empire created the first paper mills in the world after a victory at Talas River over the Tang dynasty. This empire's leader, Al-Mustasim, was rolled in. I have Colin.
The Abbasid Caliphate.
15 bonus. Usually this temple's bas-reliefs are arranged counterclockwise for 10 points each in this landmark. It was designed to look like Mount Meru and was built by the Khmer Empire as a temple to Vishnu.
Angkor Wat directed.
Angkor Wat is found in this country's city of Siem Reap. This country has its capital at Phnom Penh.
Cambodia directed.
This large inland lake lies just south of Siem Reap. The Cardamore Mountains lie immediately southwest of this lake, which is fished by many Cambodians to its origin.
It's like
It's something Sapat.
Yeah.
Like Sapat directed.
This is the Tawnil Sack, 20 points, toss of 7. A character created by this playwright sells a horse that turns to straw when it touches water and later pleads, "I'll burn my books" when a clock strikes 12. The line "there is no sin but ignorance" is spoken by the ghost of Machiavel in a play by this author whose title character is thrown into a boiling cauldron after poisoning his daughter. I have Colin.
Marlowe.
15 bonus. Civilization Citadel was an example of cyclopean architecture and was entered via the Lion's Gate for 10 points each in ancient civilization that succeeded the Minoan as the dominant civilization of Greece. The civilization's language was deciphered by Mycenae fell during the collapse named for the late part of this age. In the classic 3-age system, that this age comes between the Stone Age and the Iron Age and is named for a metal alloy.
Bronze directed.
A golden feudal mask of Mycenae was named for this mythical figure by Henry Yukon.
Agamemnon directed.
30, toss of 8. This person rang a bell to banish blackbird-shaped demons while fasting on a mountain. A prayer attributed to this person has the line "Christ in mount of friend or stranger" and is called their namesake breastplate. With a companion, they turned into a deer to escape an ambush on their way to the Tara Hill. This person's confessio included an account of being captured by pirates and sold into slavery as a teenager. I have Joel.
Jonah.
No, mine's 5. After they attacked him while fasting, this person apocryphically drove all the snakes out of his country. The Chicago River is dyed yearly for a holiday celebrating this figure, who illustrated Trinity using a shamrock. For 10 points, and this patron saint of Ireland. Ram?
St. Patrick.
10 bonus. The main character of this film flees from a landlady at race car speeds, while the fourth movement of Sarah Segoy plays in the background. For 10 points each in this movie that depicts fights between residents of the Pigsty Slum and the Axe Gang led by Brother Sub. In this movie's climactic scene, Sing defeats the Beast with the Buddhist palm.
Saving Forrest Gump, I don't know.
This is Kung Fu Hustle. The hip-hop supergroup Wu-Tang Clan named their first album after a film titled for the 36th chamber of this temple in Hunan province, where Kung Fu was perfected.
I really do not know. No answer, really.
This is the Shaolin Temple. A group of Kung Fu masters from the Shaolin Temple play this sport in another Stephen Chow film. Bend It Like Beckham is another comedy about this sport.
The answer.
This is soccer, so that's nothing on the bonus. Toss up 9. Donald Trump accused this organization of having no guts, no sense, no vision, and later said he beat the hell out of its leader. Joe Biden nominated Philip Jefferson and Adriana Kugler to this organization's board of governors, which served 14-year terms. This organization has been accused of being hawkish in contrast with dubs who want to avoid a hard landing. At a meeting in Jackson Hole, the head of this organization gave a speech saying they had a long way to go to meet a 2% target. As part of this organization's dual mandate, its leader, Jerome Powell, raised interest rates 11 times. I have Chris.
The Federal Reserve.
10. Bonus. In this play, George is elected president of the Fraternal Order of Mammals, while Sabina disguises herself as a beauty queen. For 10 points each in this play, in which the Andrews family survives.
Skin of Our Teeth.
Is that what that's called? Skin of Our Teeth.
Skin of Our Teeth directed.
The Skin of Our Teeth was written by this author, who also wrote a play in which Emily Webb marries George Gibbs in Grover's Corners. In The Skin of Our Teeth, a character with this role is angered when Miss Somerset breaks the fourth wall. In Our Town, a character with this role allows Emily to relive her 12th birthday and introduces Grover's Corners.
Stage manager directed.
30, toss of 10. This protein can be quantified using Dravikin's reagent. The loop-bearing Rappaport shunt creates a regulator of this protein using bisphosphoglycerate mutated. That regulator of this protein is 2,3-BPG. In the periphery, this protein's histidines are protonated, leading it to shift from the R state to the T state, a phenomenon called the Bohr effect. A glutamate to valine mutation in this protein causes it to aggregate. I have Joel.
RNA.
No, minus 5. This protein, whose adult form has 2 alpha and 2 beta chains, is carried by erythrocytes. This protein's prosthetic group contains a porphyrin ring coordinated with iron. Sickle cell anemia occurs due to mutations in, for 10 points, what protein that transports oxygen? Time. This is hemoglobin, so that toss-up goes dead, and we will continue with toss-up 11. These events are assumed to occur with coordinated velocities in the moderator chaos assumption used to derive the Boltzmann transport equation. The ratio of the magnitudes of the differences in velocity before and after these events gives the coefficient of the restitution, which varies between 0 and 1. A factor encoding the frequency of these events times the steric factor appears in the Arrhenius equation. These events are often solved using the center of momentum frame. These events always conserve momentum, and if they conserve total kinetic energy, I have Colin.
Collisions.
10. Bonus. These molecules contain a carboxyl group and an amine group, and each attached to their alpha carbon, which is also attached to a side chain. For 10 points each, name these molecules which serve as the monomer of protein. There are 20 standard ones.
Amino acid.
Yep.
Amino acid directed.
These covalent bonds link two amino acids together via an amide group. These bonds are broken by proteases.
I don't know, like a pi bond.
Oh yeah.
I have no idea. Pi bond directed.
Peptide bond.
Oh.
This diagram plots the phi and psi angles of each amino acid in a protein. This diagram is commonly used to assign secondary structures.
Like the Lewis diagram.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Go for it.
Like the Lewis diagram directed.
This is the Ramachandran plot. That's 10 points in the end of the half. Let me go and set this back to 12 as it should be. Oh, they're back. Okay, so are there any subs for either team? I'm going to assume no, but tell me if I'm wrong. All right, I hear no subs. So with that, if both teams are ready to go, just let me know if you're not. All right. That we will continue with toss-up 12. This work compares the sun making things visible to goodness illuminating the truth. In this work, a construct described as true or healthy is dismissed as inhabited by pigs. A parable in this work discusses a stargazer on a ship dismissed by self-flattering sailors. This work's last chapter envisions a giant spindle where souls line up to undergo a reincarnation lottery. This work contains the myth of air and a parable about a ring that turns people invisible named Vergyges. A prisoner is killed when he returns to a place where chained people look at shadows on a wall. In this work's allegory, I have a column.
Like the allegory of the cave.
It just said.
-5. In this work's allegory of the cave, a philosopher king rules an ideal city inn for 10 points. What Platonic dialogue? Rom?
Republic.
Yes, 10, and I do not have prompt or accept on allegory of the cave. I do not have prompt or accept on allegory of the caves.
Yeah, you already said allegory of the cave, so it's fine.
I'm just bad.
Okay. So we'll move on. So no protest. All right. And your bonus room. This San Francisco-based company recently announced their newest bot, GPT-4. For 10 points each, this company that founded the cryptocurrency WorldCoin and created chatbots like ChatGPT. Sam Altman is the CEO of this laboratory.
OpenAI or something.
Answer, please.
OpenAI.
ChatGPT was briefly banned in Italy after concerns about it breaking this European data privacy law. This law's Article 17 outlines a right to be forgotten. Answer, please.
No answer.
This is GDPR. Among the early funders of OpenAI is a South African entrepreneur, the CEO of Tesla and SpaceX, who recently acquired Twitter and renamed it X.
Elon Musk.
That's 20. Toss up 13. This modern-day country incorporated Eastern Rumelia via the Topane Agreement. A revolt in this country was suppressed in the Batuk massacre by regular forces called Bashi Buzut. I have Chris.
Bulgaria.
15 bonus. Mark Twain proclaimed this theologian to be the most interesting woman who ever lived. For 10 points each, and is author of Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures. Phineas Quimby treated this theologian using mesmerism. Eddie founded this church in 1879. This church publishes The Monitor, a weekly newsletter. Christian Science teaches that this ritual is an individual spiritual experience rather than the more common version involving immersion in water. John performed this ritual on Jesus in the Jordan River.
Directed.
That's all 30. Also 14. A book about this event describes a man trying to teach his friend the canto of Ulysses. A work about this event contains a reprint of The Prisoner on the Hell Planet, a work by this author about his mentally ill mother, Anya. The memoirs, The Periodic Table, and If This Is a Man are about Primo Levi. I have Colin.
Holocaust.
15 bonus. In the old republic system of coffee with milk politics, the state's coffee industry was contrasted with the dairy industry of Minas Gerais. For 10 points each, in this non-American state, this state shares its name with its capital, which is the most populous city in its country.
Yeah. Sao Paulo directed.
Sao Paulo is a state in its largest South American country, which gained independence from Portugal in 1822.
Brazil directed.
This man was Brazil's dictator during the Estado Novo period. The intro. That's all 30. Toss up 15. Tracking shots were used by a director from this country in a movie whose opening sequence depicts youth imitating Myron's Discobolas. Prana Film, a short-lived company from this country, was sued by Bram Stoker's widow over an unauthorized adaptation. In that film, doctors blamed rats for deaths actually caused by a vamp. I have Chris.
Germany.
15 bonus. The character with this job, Tom DeCray, dreams of Dick, Joe, Ned, and Jack playing an agreeing plane for 10 points each in this job that titles a poem in both Songs of Innocence and Songs of Experience, the former of which describes its members locked up in coffins of black.
That makes sense, right?
Painter?
Blake was a painter.
Yeah.
Like painter directed.
Chimney Sweeper. The English poet's Song of Experience included a poem about an animal burning bright in the forest of the night, the tiger.
Lake directed.
A line in the title that describes when the stars flew on their spheres is thought to be an allusion to this poet who wrote an epic poem seeking to justify the ways of God to men.
Yeah. Milton directed.
20 points, toss up 16. This quantity measured by the Ostwald coefficient is inversely related to an inhaled anesthetics induction rate. The difference of the log of this quantity between two phases equals log P. A procedure done in a watch glass takes advantage of the fact that this quantity increases with temperature for solids. It's not concentration, but this quantity is decreased for one species in the common ion effect. because K sub SP is constant. Salts of group 1 elements generally have this property per a qualitative set of rules, which also predicts when a compound lacks this property and forms precipitates. For 10 points, I have Joel.
Solubility.
10 bonus. This piece begins with the brass playing a crescendoing chord whose top note C sharp, then resolves down to a horizontal B. For 10 points each, named this tone poem, which inspired the hymn "Be Still My Soul." This piece, initially published as part of the press celebration suite, it was often performed under the name Impromptu.
Finlandia directed.
Finlandia had been performed under the name Impromptu to avoid censorship from this home country of composers like Pyotr Ilyich Tchaikovsky.
Yeah, Russia directed.
Finlandia was composed by this Finnish composer whose other works include the Lemminkainen Suite.
Sibelius directed.
30 points, toss up 17. This novel includes the story of a man who inflated a dog using a hollow cane. When a character in this novel cannot find their books, their niece tells them an enchanter came from a cloud riding a dragon. I have Colin.
Don Quixote.
15 bonus. John Blunt headed a joint stock company responsible for this event, which also sank the career of John Aliabe. For 10 points each in this economic disaster in which the namesake company took on a portion of the British national debt and made very little money from its original purpose, trading in the Atlantic.
South Sea Bubble directed.
This first Prime Minister of England and Whig politician came to power shortly after the South Sea Bubble.
Walpole directed.
A king of this name ruled during the South Sea Bubble. The third king of this name ruled England during the American Revolution.
George directed.
30 points, toss up 18. A composer from this country used the ascending motif long A, short G, short F, long E to begin each of a collection of 7 pieces based on a pavade. Singers were placed in a horseshoe formation for a 40-voice motet by a Renaissance composer from this country, home to the composer of the lute collection Lac Roume. The motet Spem in Allium is by a composer from this country given a 21-year monopoly on printing polyphonic music. That composer's song, Why Thumped in the Fight, is inspired by a fantasia by a later composer from this country who wrote The Lark Ascending. For 10 points in this home, I have Colin.
United Kingdom.
10 bonus. A Gaussian surface of this shape is used to find the electric field of a line of charge. For 10 points each in this shape, which names a coordinate system with r, theta, and z coordinate. The solid has a volume pi times radius squared times height and is created by translating a circle through space.
Cylinder.
Yeah, cylinder.
Yeah.
Cylinder directed.
Gauss's law states that the flux is equal to the charge density divided by this constant. This constant in SI units is approximately 8.85 times 10 to the negative 12.
8.5 times 10 to the negative 12. Boltzmann's directed.
This is vacuum permittivity. Gauss's law is part of this set of equations of electromagnetism, which are named for a Scottish scientist. Ampere's law is another member of these sets of 4 equations.
Maxwell's directed.
That's 20, toss up 19. This body of water names the striped neck terrapin. It's not by call, but a 2022 dive of this body of water's namesake earless seals has no clear cause. Part of the Hazard Nature Reserve is found in this body of water's large. I have Ram.
Lake Baikal.
-5. Body of water's largest island, Ogura Ida. The Hercynian forest found in the Golstan and Mazandaran provinces borders this body of water. Over 90% of the world's caviar comes from this body of water. The Absheron Peninsula juts into this body of water, whose south is bordered by the Alborz Mountains. The Volga and Ural rivers empty into this body of water. Baku lies on, for 10 points, what Central Asian inlet sea, actually the largest lake in the world. Colin?
One of them. Like the Aral.
Oh my god.
Is it the Caspian?
Yes.
Yes, the Caspian. This is the Caspian Sea, so that toss-up goes dead, and we move on to toss-up 20. Many witnesses in this case said one defendant was selling eels for Easterside at the time of the crime. The Pulitzer-winning We Submit editorial supported one side in this case after Celestino Maderos' confession. Felix Frankfurter wrote an editorial in the Atlantic Monthly supporting the defendants in this case, who were pardoned by Michael Dukakis. The defendants in this case were likely followers of Luigi Galliani and were accused. I have Chris.
Like Sacco and Vanzetti.
15 bonus. This composer's Auguries of Spring featured layered E flat and F flat major chords repeatedly played with seemingly random accents. For 10 points each in this Russian composer who included Auguries of Spring in their ballet The Rites of Spring.
Stravinsky directed.
The Rite of Spring opens with an unusually high-pitched solo from this instrument whose modern versions use the Heckel system. This instrument represents Peter's grandfather in The Peter and the Wolf.
Bassoon directed.
During Stravinsky's pre-Minimist period, he often collaborated with this founder of the ballet Russes, who commissioned The Rite of Spring.
Ballet Russes.
Yeah.
And please,
Nijinsky directed.
this is Sergei Diaghilev, so that's 20 on the bonus, and toss up the last. This artist painted Michelangelo di Rosa in a series called The Boy in the Red Vest, one of which was stolen in Zurich. I have Chris.
Cezanne.
15 bonus. This figure ordered the killing of all babies on May Day. However, he failed to eliminate the illegitimate baby he conceived with his half-sister Morgause. For 10 points each, and his king, the heir to Uther Pendragon, who pulled out the sword from the stone. He leads the knights to the round table and wields Excalibur.
Arthur directed.
After being wounded at the Battle of Camlan, Arthur is taken away to this mythical island. In some tellings of the story, Guimar is the lord of this island.
Avalon.
Yeah.
Avalon directed.
Avalon is the first written about in this Chanticleer's History of the Kings of Britain.
What did it say?
Answer?
I don't know. I was just looking for it. Mallory directed.
This is Joffrey of Monmouth, and that's 20 points at the end of the game.
I didn't know what it said. Because I know who that is. Because like the Historia Reg,